Hey everybody, I'm here answering right now the question of was Michael Jackson a devil worshiper? I'm just speaking out from my heart, being real with y'all about the subject. I've heard some different people talk on this subject, especially Mr. Craig Lewis, and I have no personal vendetta against Mr. Craig Lewis. I think a lot of what he has to say needs to be heard about the hip hop industry, gangster rap, and so on. But when it comes to this subject and a couple of other people that he has dissed, especially gospel artists who've tried their whole life to bridge the gap to this generation using up-to-date styles of music to glorify God and to tell them about Jesus, I have to disagree with him vehemently about saying that they are as well not doing what's right. They're being ungodly with their music. Anyway, that's another subject. But let's just deal with Michael Jackson. He says, I'm just going to deal with the claims of what Mr. Craig Lewis has said about Michael Jackson being a devil worshiper. First of all, let me tell you, none of this stuff that he said is based in fact. And other people who are listening to this are basically following suit, just trying to get on the momentum, get on the bandwagon, but what they're saying really has nothing to do with facts about Michael Jackson. Firstly, Mr. Craig Lewis said that Michael Jackson wears the 777 number to be satanic so that he can channel Aleister Crowley. Okay, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. First of all, 777 is not a satanic number. Okay, for most people that don't know, 777 is actually God's number, and one of the numbers that the Bible talks about being accredited to God, such as like the number 8, and of course 12 with the 12 disciples, 12 tribes of Judah. There's certain things that in the Bible show us, and then the number 7 is 7 spirits before the throne of God. In 7 days He created the earth. Okay, there's a whole lot of things with 7, and that's something that God does. Okay. So that's biblical. So there's no way you can connect that with Aleister Crowley. Whether Aleister Crowley stole it or not, Satan is always stealing things that God starts, and he's the originator of that, stealing from God and changing what God did and manipulating it into something perverted. So it's not any surprise that Aleister Crowley used 7, but that doesn't mean that it's a satanic number or that Michael had anything to do with Aleister Crowley. There's no evidence that shows him being associated with Aleister Crowley at all. Also, he talked about Michael not being that Michael slept for days. Now, anybody who has sense of paying attention to the news knows that Michael had a sleeping problem. That's why he needed the propofol. And also, we know also from the past that Michael had to do a lot of tours. He was always up and a lot of energy. He had to do a lot of exercises. He was always up and he could not sleep. In fact, he used to go over to a certain person's house, family's house, and sleep over there. That was the only place he could really rest. And Michael was always on the go, always doing music, always doing something. And he had to do all these tours. So he was always on, So he had to. He also was in pain. He had several diseases where he had to have medication. So it's totally false that he was talking to any dream spirits or anything like that. This is what Mr. Craig Lewis was saying. He was talking to dream spirits to get inspiration for his songs. Then he mentioned Another Part of Me and some other songs which were not even totally written by Michael. One of the songs, when he said, don't blame it on the boogie, when Michael says, the devil's got a hold of me. Okay, a lot of guys used to make that term because they said in church that any type of dance outside of praise and worship, when it was used for secular reasons, a lot of times they were saying that the devil was getting into you because you're using it the wrong way. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes people can dance a little too risque, get a little too into something, wrong with the dance. But in general, it's not wrong to have different styles of dance. That's not against the Bible, But anyway, that was just a term that they were using at the time. And so somebody wrote that into a song with the Jacksons, and he just said the line, but that didn't mean he was a devil worshiper. I mean, that's just totally absurd. He also said Michael tried to lighten his skin so that Michael could, be more like this idol called Cora That's totally false. Michael didn't lighten his skin at all. Michael had a disease called vitiligo, and used medication, and he used makeup as a way to cover up um, those things that were on his, the blotches. I actually met Michael a couple times. I saw the blotches personally. I met him when I was about 12 years old. Went to Neverland. And anyway, that's why he did that. He had makeup to cover up all the blotches, so there wouldn't be any blotches in his skin that was visible. They had to use makeup quite often. Karen Faye, his hairdresser, she used it a lot on him. Then dealing with him trying to like a woman, that's nothing but, media garbage. This guy's just recycling what media said. I don't think he realized that, but Michael was not trying to look like a woman. He had to wear wigs because his hair had been burned out during the Pepsi commercial, as you know. And his hair had been totally burned out. It really had third-degree burns, as far as I know. Maybe it was second-degree burns. But I just know it was pretty severe. And he had to have pain medicine at that time. And that's what led to the propofol and other things. But we know that Michael did not have, drug problem in that way. He had a problem with Demerol, but he kicked that, and it was propofol that killed him. And the doctor was definitely the murderer of Michael Jackson. So I'm just talking about basically the facts, you guys, on that Michael was never a devil worshiper. He gave God the glory on many occasions. He said he thanked God for his talents. And he said he respected the Lord Jesus Christ. And I know for a fact from people very close to him that he did make a confession to make Jesus Christ as his Savior and Lord. He was not a Muslim, even though there are some people that were near him that were Muslims, and then they were supportive of him. They were security for him. He was not personally a Muslim. He was not a Jehovah's Witness. Jehovah's Witness cast him out of the sect, which I'm very happy about, actually. And when he did Thriller, again, that was an idea that was also envisioned by other people in his group. He didn't come up with the whole idea. He was not trying to be in their cult. He did not invent that for the purpose of trying to be a cultic. That just shows you how ignorant some people can be of history, and they can rewrite it and think that they're getting a revelation from God, but they're not taking the time to search it out and say, is this accurate to what history? Because God is not going to tell a lie. He's not going to reinvent history. God is going to include the history that we already know. He's not going to just reinvent it. That's not a revelation, So, anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Basically, they need to stop hating on Michael. People need to stop attacking him. They need to stop saying he's a drug dealer and all this stuff and all the things that they've harassed him for maybe 10 years. And the devil really used these people. People that were looking for money. That's all they really wanted. And the media just basically jumped on the bandwagon after these people looking for money sued him and tried to make some money themselves by just capitalizing on the situation. But I believe it's all about this Beatles catalog and the Tommy Mottola and this whole Sony thing. Sony Music, that's what it's all about. Michael was killed behind that because he had shares in Sony, and the distribution rights were given to him. Half of the music, the money from the Sony Music was given over to him every time it was sold. So they were mad about that. He was going to become independent, and he was making money off of them. So that's why they hired a hitman. So Michael was never a devil worshiper. He didn't have to bring this on himself. I really would appreciate it if Mr. Crazy Lewis and other people would stop saying that and stop just putting that out on YouTube when the man already went through enough. And now you're destroying his legacy even more after he's dead. It's like, spitting on his grave. Michael Jackson didn't deserve none of the things that happened to him. He didn't do anything but give to others and try to be a child of God. So I'm just saying this in love. I'm asking you to please stop Mr. Crazy Lewis. Anybody else speaking out against Michael, saying he's a devil worshiper, stop putting it on there. It's not true. It's not true. Do your research. Pray about it. And if you already know and you're doing it anyway, you're being evil. If you already know and you know what you're doing, you're being evil. And you're going to reap what you sow, because you can't just do that to an innocent person. You can't just keep dogging them out. I don't care how popular you get. It's not going to bless you in the end. It's just going to curse you in the end, because you're doing what's wrong. You're attacking an innocent person. God is not going to let that stand. So that's all I got to say. Peace, y'all. Listen to my next video, please. All right. It's all for love. For real. Say Jesus is Lord if you haven't. Bye.